So how about we go around and share a little bit about maybe an overview of those past 3 weeks for everyone.
Okay, so very quickly, just because I really want to thank Lindsay for her suggestion regarding the next door West Ponderosa. I did change a post that I made initially, and I didn't get anybody. But with a post with similar words to what Lindsay used, I got one client.
Yeah.
Good job, you guys.
Thank you so much for your thoughtfulness, because it was, it made me realize that the language really matters. And so I just had my consultation with her this Monday, and I'm having the first session next Friday, possibly Wednesday. And to my surprise, she's a life coach. So I don't know how that one is going to be. So I'm a little bit nervous about this visioning, because she said, oh, I have done some visioning. And I was like, okay.
Well, great, but that means you're going to be able to go in like super details and be super granular with her, because she knows.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So that's probably what has gone well. I also found another client too. So at the moment I have 2 clients, almost 3, and I think it's just fine. I have been incredibly busy, and I just want to share with you something that I am considering. The other thing that went well is that I have a session that I am considering to submit for my PSA. It is not perfect. It is not perfect, and I have been pondering about this, but in a way is something that has gone well, because it has brought me to a place where I need to make this decision, and I need to be more at peace with what I want. We will never be able to be 100% sure about this. So
good for you, Yvette. So you're deciding to move forward with this and let go of the desire to be perfect.
Yes, absolutely. So that's what have gone well for me, among other things, but those are the 2 main things.
Thanks, Yvette. How about you, Lindsay? What has gone well for you in the past 3 weeks? It's way too long a time to unpack, right? Like, I don't remember what I had for dinner last night, but
I was in Dorset. I was off work last week, which is nice. So I was in Dorset visiting my mum and stepdad, which was lovely. So it was just nice to have a break and not think about coaching or studying or working for an entire week. Well, it wasn't an entire week. It was 4 days, to be fair. Yeah, so that was enjoyable.
That's great. And I seem to remember from our last call that, or maybe that was a call prior to that, but you mentioned wanting to be more intentional with restful periods of time. So
yeah. Yeah, that was definitely intentional. And yeah, I suppose, in a way it made me think, oh, you need to do more of this. Yeah, so it's good. So that's really my update. And the other thing, actually, to Yvette's point, I thought I had a potential PSA session. I was really confident about it, and I shared it with some others, and I shared it with 3 others. 2 said, oh yeah, this is great, it looks good. And I was really worried about Kay. And then the other person said, oh, I can't see Kay here. I don't think, I think maybe you should wait. And I was like, no!
That's how I'm feeling. Yes.
So
I hear that over and over. This like feedback from peers is sometimes super confusing and sometimes kind of throw you in self-doubt.
I was torn about it, because I thought, God, I know this is really subjective, but then I don't want to risk failing. I know they don't use the word fail, but to me it's a fail.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to wait it out a bit. It's in the bank, that one, just in case I do get to the 31st of October and I start panicking.
Yeah. So you do have one that is a good candidate, but sounds like you want to refine around Kate.
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, Yvette?
I am so sorry to interrupt that. Just something very quickly, I don't want to forget. I want to invite all of you to share with me on my website your articles or anything that you would like, because I have a section for resources and I would love to fill up with all your contributions. So you're welcome to share with me. I'm very excited about this. So just to keep in mind, and that is the other thing that has gone well. I have moved forward with my website. I don't have niche anymore. I am in a no niche space at this moment. So as soon as my website has a little bit of more form, I will share with all of you. But in the meantime, if you could help me fill up this content with your articles or anything that you think you would like to share with me, I am welcome. I'm welcoming everything. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Yvette. And Drew, would you give us a little bit of a update from you?
Yeah, well, I've felt like I've constantly been playing catch up with this course, but with that said, I caught up, and I realized how amazing the content is, and I want to applaud you again because I just think this is a killer course. I love the time that we have to spend in it. You know, we had that beginning busy to balance, but it wasn't required, and then all of a sudden we're in the program. It just having this and being able to focus on this really gave me an understanding of, and I put in the post in the forum, and now I have both Edna and Anne Marie that are coaching me because I need a coach. I realize that more and more, that both from the time module was even more apparent to all the subsequent ones moving forward. I'm just like, all right, I really, as much as I want to continue to sharpen my coaching skills, which I do, I also need to create some organization on my approach. And
systems. I'm all for
well, I got great systems, just not when it comes to professional stuff. Like, I do great when I have a full-time job and my self-care. Like,
but Andrew, like, knowing about your self-care, I know that you put a lot of work into that. So that's something you can also like leverage. I don't know, like you know how to create all those routines. That's just the different areas that you need to apply it to.
And that's what's interesting. That's a component that I'm going to hopefully get coached on is, you know, I seem like I consistently put my self-care over my professional development, and like that time, that piece of time, that highest energy, that highest focus time, it's always going to the gym. I'm like, that's my peak time. I'm going to the gym. I'm not going to write an article. Why do I want to write an article? Why am I going to work on my website? It's like, who wants to do that? Like, that's not fun. It just doesn't feed me. So it's hard. It's hard finding that balance, but I'm hopeful to do that. So yes, I'm very grateful that I've stuck out this program. And yeah, I've been to West Coast and back, and out in the woods and silent retreats and a lot of self-search. I continued to dive into the question that I was trying to answer while I was out in the woods is, who am I? I was trying to really discover, and I haven't had an opportunity. I've come back to a whirlwind of family in town. Like, I haven't even had a chance to really unpack it. So I'm hopeful that that's going to help me with moving into this space too, and trying to organize what's really important to me.
And doing what you said, I just want to encourage you to stay with the fact that you said it doesn't feed me. And I don't think that you should force it if you have the strong awareness and that you feel that's not you. Maybe you're the kind of person, like maybe you don't need a website and you're going to find all your clients at the gym because you spend so much time there. You know, I mean, there's such an emphasis on finding people on the internet. I mean, come on, the internet was not always a source of clients for coaches. Like our mentor coaches, they have built their entire career and they seem pretty successful to me. They have built an entire career outside of social media, outside of websites and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I don't think, if that's not for you, I don't see why you should put your energy in that. I'm wondering what you think.
I'm having that same discussion internally, and that's why I feel I need to continue to be coached on it and hash it out and talk it out and figure out where my values align. I think it can be, I think it's a tool that will hopefully allow me to get into more, not necessarily using it to get clients per se, but at least having a platform that I can reference people for more information, for outreach, for people just have a better understanding of what it is I'm doing, for connecting those multiple dots. I don't know. It just seems like it's the time vested in that will allow me the other time to put into other things than having to constantly do emails and saying, oh, this is what I'm doing, and this constant outreach. I think just forwarding our website and trying to be very succinct and not having it be overwhelming and having thousands of articles, trying just to really get to the point of what I'm trying to do for people. And I think that's where I finally circled to, and not being so overwhelmed by the article and the, like what Beth's working on, like the content still, I had that problem. You guys probably remember in the session, I was just like telling Keith, like, I don't want to create content. He's like, content is just an Instagram post. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, what do you mean? What do you not understand about nothing? I don't want to do any of that. Like, you've all seen my Instagram. I just constantly just keep talking to people. I just keep getting on. I'm like, I can't do the memes. Like, I sit in front of my Canva and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I want to smash my phone. I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah. I encourage you to be authentic. However, I heard recently something that kind of helped me reframe around that, and someone said content is just another way to serve your clients. Could be a micro thing that you share to serve your clients. And when you put it this way, I find that it's easier to relate to it. But let's keep that for our next. We have a module coming up on that, so we can unpack all of that, and I'm sure there's a lot we can talk about. Rachel, what's going on with you?
I relate to a lot of what you've all said so far. Andrew, I'm with you on I would rather go sailing and use my energy to be on a boat than create content. Shocking.
Yeah.
So far, I have not monetized that though. So unless all the like people I sail with are going to turn into health coaching clients, which who knows? It's been a fun outlet for me, but not necessarily. I'm not at the point right now where I feel like my professional side is fueling me. It's as fulfilling as I would like it to be, and as a result, I think it's easier for me to turn to these other activities in the short run. The downside of that is that for my professional life to be fulfilling long term, I have to get past some of these hurdles and do some of these things to build that for myself. And I think there's this balance between how do you stay authentic and do things that are really in line with what you want to do without being lazy or overly passive, or maybe discounting things that seem weird or uncomfortable right now, but once you get better at them, they become more natural and fulfilling for you. And I haven't quite figured out how to allocate my resources between all those different things. I am part of a civic leadership engagement program this summer that's designed to help women who want to get more involved in politics and in civics and work in their communities. And through that, I've had some really good chats with some of the women. One of the women who runs the program has her own consulting group, and she recruits for state level politicians. So like if a governor needs a secretary of agriculture or something, they go to her. And I mentioned that I was dealing with some frustration in my situation. She's like, oh, well, my passion is developing women leaders and female entrepreneurs. So how can I help you? Well, I have a Facebook page, and I get between 500 or 40,000 people on my Facebook Lives when I'm talking about politics, and I'm sure they'd like to hear something else instead of politics. So we could do a Facebook Live, get your website out in order. And it's another reminder that, like you said earlier, Jihane, our clients can come from any number of areas. They're not necessarily from Instagram or wherever. They can come from natural conversations. And I've been listening to a lot of Allegra Stein's work on this and trying to have just as many open conversations as possible about coaching and why I'm interested in it, and not necessarily about selling somebody on working with me, but just giving them the awareness of what I do. And that's been fulfilling. And I have a lunch tomorrow with somebody who's not in the healthcare space at all, just somebody I've connected with for the past couple of years, and it'll be a fun way to see what he's working on and talk about what I'm working on, and not have any kind of expectation on, I need to close this person immediately. It's just gathering important information and data.
Absolutely. I love that, Rachel. I don't know. I feel like that's a great space to be. You're reaching out to people, you're chatting with all kinds of different people. And some of them are like, oh, why don't you do something on my channel? So yeah. All right. We are closing module. I'm losing track, you guys. Module 4, and this was all about thinking and maybe starting to actually create those pieces of who you want to work with, collaborations. So I'm wondering what came up for you. What was the highlight during this module? Blank. No highlight. Yeah, you bet. Go for it.
A lot of things came up to me. First of all, I decided that I do not want to collaborate with practitioners.
Yeah.
That is not the way for me to go.
Okay.
And so I didn't, even though I saw all the resources that you sent and everything, and I'm not certain about it. I feel that a lot of things are emerging at this point in my life. You see, and one of those, I wasn't sure if I should explore that avenue for me, and I decided that I didn't want to do that. What I did decide though was that I would like to have that supportive network that you mentioned, and I was able to choose how I would like to do that. And this is why I also ask everybody that if you have anything to share, I will share it on my website, because I think the same way that Rachel and Andrew think. I just wasn't certain about that. I just feel that I rushed a little bit into this, but then I thought, I am here. How I am going to finish this, to move onward and forward with this. And I thought that collaborating or having that supportive network would be a good way for me to do it. And so those were my main takeaways. And I found also very interesting your questions. What were my missing skill sets? And having that realization also helped me decide what is it that I wanted to do. So does it answer your question?
Absolutely, Yvette. So you got some insights and you even made some decisions. You sound really clear about that.
Yeah, at the moment, yes, I am just defining this, and it's been a process. 3 weeks. 3 weeks it is very relative. It could be a long time, but it could be a short time. But during these days, things have been more clear for me, and this is why I came to the conclusion that I didn't want a niche, that I didn't want to completely change even the colors of my website. So I'm working in something very basic, that I didn't want to write content. And it was because when I had to answer the question missing skills, and I thought, oh my God, the writing skills. I could write short things, but not this content that would bring value to a lot of people, So I thought, and I was missing also my ability with technology and these kind of things, web designing, and so I thought, no, what is it that I want, and what is it that I am going to do? So those questions really helped me find that clarity. So not only the questions, all the other questions that I found in the material. So.
Okay. And you can always, as you're growing in your career, you might change your mind on certain things. You might come back to some of decisions, right? So, Lindsay, what was some of the highlight for you in this work?
To be perfectly honest, I only read module 4 yesterday.
Okay.
I've been so busy. That's no excuse that, I'm not prioritizing that. My priority at the moment is passing PSA. So I feel a bit behind on this. I also feel like I'm stuck at the moment on that. Like I'm very much a one laser focused person, like get focused on that, do that, then move on to the next thing. Interestingly, I read your content yesterday, and then I jumped on a UK Health Coach Association virtual hub webinar with a chap called Robert Notter, who is a coach in New York City, and he was doing this call effectively to help UK health coaches to market their businesses. And he talked very much about the importance of partnerships, networking, making connections. He was like, that's your top priority. And I thought that's interesting, because your content is exactly that. So my
synchronicity is interesting.
Yeah, very, very much. And I thought, yes, this really makes sense. And for me, something that I enjoy doing is connecting with people, is speaking with people. It energizes me. I like to meet people. I like to, I'm friendly. I am chatty. I'm not shy. I enjoy those connections. And so, sort of as a strength, I'd like to mobilize that when I'm in the right space. There's lots of ideas in terms of who I might want to contact, but I don't know what that is yet. I'm not sure. I'm a bit similar to Beth. I'm not sure whether I want to work with practitioners. I think I like the idea of collaborating with other coaches. I like the idea of collaborating with other professionals. What it looks like yet, I don't know.
That's fine. That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
And
so
you said a couple of things I just wanted to pick up on. First, everyone you hear is going to have a different priority for you. So tune that out, and you know the priority for you. And you said for you, that's the PSA. So, and the other thing that I heard is that it's going to happen organically for you. It's easy for you to go to people talk to you easily, it will just happen, right?
Yeah, I have confidence in that. That's a future goal. So when I do have moments to reflect, which I'm trying to make more of, what I need to do is really start to gather all these ideas together somewhere. So I've got like a massive ideas pad somewhere that I just need to start writing things down as I'm thinking them, because it's
something
quite organic.
Something like a mind map or something like that?
I think so. Yeah, because while I know I'm focused on PSA, when something pops into my head, somewhere easy to just go, write this down, get this down. It might be a mess, but I don't care. It's like my ideas in one place. Anyway, that was a bit of a random tangent.
I have a journal of tiny experiments Google Doc that I keep going, and I also have like some random notebooks around, so that like when inspiration strikes me, as it inevitably does, I like just jot a little like random thing down, and it's nice to have those written down. And I'll come across notes from like 5 years ago where it's like interview shoe cobbler who's been in business for 60 years.
I love that. I think I'm inspired to do something similar. A lot of my notes are kind of all over the place. I'm thinking I need to put this together somewhere, just so that it feels cohesive.
Yeah, well, in the module around time, we discussed at some point having time blocked off for like strategizing, and maybe having a time dedicated to putting those ideas together in a way that feels cohesive. But I feel you, and I'm very much like Rachel. Like, I have 1 million Word documents with like notes and ideas on it. I don't know how many notebooks. Like, it is so ridiculous that Ryan and I, a few years ago, we left Edmonton for a backpack trip. Almost the only thing I saved from my previous life were notebooks. And I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to them, but that's kind of like, that's how precious this feels to me. But anyways, Rachel, you had your hand raised. So what was the highlight for you? You were a natural networker.
Yeah, I would much rather network in person than be on Instagram. That stuff comes more easily to me. And I find
go for it.
Because what I realized is that a lot of people in the circles that I have contacts in don't know what health coaching is, but they might be interested in working with me if they meet me and I come off as reasonably intelligent or articulate, versus trying to sell them on some sort of health service. And I think the same thing would be true for a lot of you. You're authentic, interesting people. They can tell fairly quickly that you're invested in this process. And that's more of the selling point than like, oh, I'm gonna help with this specific problem, because I have a hard time communicating what it is that health coaching is to people who aren't familiar with that industry. I also found what you wrote about client work and experimenting the ways in which we actually coach people to be really cool. It was something that parallels a podcast I listened to or YouTube video about coaching containers that Allegra did. And it allowed me, once you think outside of the PSA format, to sort of brainstorm about, well, how do I use the things that I enjoy doing, like cooking, as vehicles for coaching? And how do I use these other formats as ways to have really deep conversations with people that can help them? And thinking about the partnerships that ensue from something like that, whether you're working with a local fitness studio or an art gallery or something like that, but finding ways to bring people together and talk about their
tasting.
What'd you say? Yeah.
Wine tasting.
Wine tasting, yes, for your health.
Right.
Like all different sorts of unusual partnerships or whatever, whether it's people in politics or something, stuff like that comes organically, because I don't know what my niche is. What I thought like my niche would be when Keith had us describe our avatar and everything was one thing, and then what a lot of the people I've worked with are, it's a completely different thing. And this stuff,
I don't know about you, but I have not coached one client in my avatar niche, like the one that I picked. So yeah, obviously something's wrong there. Yeah, Rachel. So you're really excited about this idea to find what feels natural and easy for you, instead of having those like awkward conversation or health coaches, blah blah blah, right? So
yeah, we'll see if this actually works. I think what I've accepted is that
had a really big sigh.
Oh yeah, I'm tired. I actually have to sign off in a couple of minutes and go take a nap. But the reckoning of the past couple of months is realizing that exiting the ADAPT program with a roster of 5 to 10 consistent coaching clients and going like full-time or semi-full-time with this is sort of a pipe dream for somebody who didn't walk into this program with a wellness following, and coming to terms with my expectations and adjusting them accordingly, and realizing that this is going to be a much longer, slower development, similar to what Will, I think, mentioned in the preview to your webinar with him about, like, it's taken him 2 years really to get to this point where he's not constantly hustling for clients. And Allegra's made similar comments. I think it's interesting to sort of square those reactions with some of the online marketing entrepreneurship stuff where it's like, scale your business to 6 figures within 2 weeks bullshit, and realizing that this is going to be a lengthy process. I don't need to be so hard on myself in the interim as I'm trying to find clients, that a lot of it's going to come from building relationships, talking to people, getting out there as much as possible, and just connecting.
Great. And Drew, what would you want to share on module 4? You're a natural tribe builder, so
yeah, I'm continuing to try to lean into that space. What was really jumping out to me is probably collaborating through LinkedIn. My LinkedIn network's like 2,000 and growing, so I'm like, I need to start tapping into that platform.
Very cool. Yeah, so realizing that you have some stuff you can leverage.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty big network there. Collaborating with coaches. The only problem with collaborating with coaches, though, I don't know, I see this vicious cycle of continuing to build these relationships with coaches and just having relationships with coaches and nothing else. You're like, well,
that's fair. Totally
where
fair.
am I going to get clients from? Like,
Yeah.
I have all these coach friends, but what is this? That's not really. So that's the one piece that I see where maybe at some point it's gotta, I don't know. It's almost like what I'm doing outside of here. You know, we've spoke of the collaboration moving forward as well, and creating the network of peers that I have, and maybe adding to it and just creating my own authentic space of group coaching, something like that. But that way of collaborating where at least, you know, there's a chip in of $20, something like, but that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, and I've been talking with Christopher Blakesley as well, and he's been really kind of steering me away from practitioners as well. Like he doesn't have a really good experience with that either. And I don't know, I feel that's pretty challenging for most of what we have coming into this. I think most practitioners are going to want, I feel personally, and I'm still, even with my nutrition background, I'm still not super comfortable with a lot of the functional health stuff. And I feel like that pressure of working with practitioners, they're going to want that. They're going to want that person to be spot on and understanding labs and understanding what the protocols are. And I think they might, I feel like they put on a little more responsibility on us, and we wouldn't be compensated for it. Like that's where I think it would come in. We're like,
yeah, I don't know. Just to offer you something on this topic, I actually this morning connected with someone who is in Calgary, so south of where I live. She works in a clinic. She's a health coach, and it very much sounds like she's been there for 5 years. So the way it works is that she just, you know, her coaching is integrated to what the clinic does as a whole, and she's being trained. Like there's a lot of professional development that happens because she's part of that clinic. They give her the space, the opportunity, some funding, blah, 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 you name it, right? So, and if you remember, we did have a round table towards the end of ADAPT with a few of our previous graduate, and one of them said that if you join one of those clinics or companies, then there might be some opportunities to keep developing. So maybe there's expectation that you might follow standards, or you know, you need to understand functional health a little better, but that might also be a chance, if that's something of interest for you, to deepen this area because you're in that environment that you might not have if you were on your own. But maybe that's not really of interest to you.
yeah, well, when I hear you saying this, I see two different avenues. I see one, working solo and partnering with practitioners in that context for that referral or whatever you can do to help them out. And then I see what you're talking about, and I have his information. I've been meaning to reach out to him, but the guy from the round table, and, you know, working for an actual company and getting that training. And to me, coming into that though, like it's still kind of, I think most of us resonated with Liz Goulding a lot more than the majority of our program did, because the other two came from this really extensive clinical background. Like he was he had super clinical, he got hired because he had what he had before. He didn't get hired because he came in as a regular health coach. Like he got hired.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then what's her name was, I don't even remember. The other girl came from some kind of physical therapy type background.
Yeah. No, you're right. Absolutely. And I have to say, like in many of those, we had a few events with previous graduates. I don't think I've related to anyone. So
no, I didn't either.
Yeah. So the way they pick them seems, I don't know. Well, let's not get into like too much politics, but I feel like they're trying to further their agenda, and you know, they're pushing for the ADAPT model, which is a collaborative model, right? They're really pushing for it, but the opportunities are not really there. So, and so collaborating with practitioners, I hear, is kind of everybody's kind of on the fence. Yeah, it doesn't. So let me tell you about one avenue that I'm going to pursue. I don't know if you remember Keith Reese showing us this website, one of their clients, and the guy is an ADAPT graduate from the practitioner course. It's called Fatigue to Flourish. They're actually based in Alberta. And so I reached out to the health coach that they have on staff. We were supposed to meet last week. It didn't happen. But I laid out to her like the reasons I approached them. And I'm interested in helping people to fast, get into fasting. And I'm aware there are some like risk factors when it comes to certain health conditions, such as HPA axis disorders. And that clinic kind of specialize on that. So I was thinking maybe I can get in touch with them, and I'm wondering if there's a chance for me to bake in through my future clients one consultation with those people to make sure that it's safe for them to fast. That's an idea. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I might pursue that. And see, I feel like I have something very specific. I can get in touch with that guy. He's training the ADAPT framework, so I might be able to find some ways to collaborate. But it's me giving them patience, kind of, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Is there an opportunity for me to get referrals from them? I don't know, maybe. But I also feel like when you approach people for the first time, it's really better to come without any agenda and just come here for the genuine connection, learn about what they do, have a real conversation where it's like person to person, like, what do you do? Here's what I do, and see where you connect, and really let go of any expectations. Would I wish to get client referrals? Yes, I would wish to have that, but that's not, like, I can't be getting in touch with those people because that's what I want, right? I'm wondering what thoughts come for you guys. Anything more? No.
I appreciate that. I think there's a, again, two-way street there. I think if you can, like you have, if you have a skill set or what have you, if you have an opportunity that will promote growth for a business and you have the metrics to show that, then sure, I'd say come with that first. I mean, that's what, especially practitioners, they just want to cut through the BS. Was it your content that said, like, you know, emails aren't going to get through, whatever's not going to get through, like mailing them a package of stuff, of information, or of something that's going to catch their eye, and they're going to be like, hey, who's this? And what do they have? Oh, wow, this is exactly what my clinic needs right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what that is. I don't have that skill set right now. You do, maybe. I don't.
I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it just reminds me that a lot of doctors too, they are part of a culture where they are gifted freaking like trips in like tropical islands, and conferences are all paid, like, or I mean, in the conventional medicine world, at least that's how it works, because they're being sponsored by big pharma and stuff. So if you were to talk to someone who's used to get things for like free, or, you know, if there's this bargain, yeah, maybe you need to come with some kind of a gift or an argument. But that said, I mean, reciprocity is a huge principle of influence. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Robert Cialdini's work. He wrote that book, How to Influence People, I think it's called. And reciprocity is one of the #1 principles that help you get yes. Like if you're a salesperson, or no matter what you're trying to get out of people, if you give first, you can expect to get some things back. And I heard him in a recent interview. He was saying there's this experiment that was done in McDonald's restaurant, and they had families coming, and they were giving balloons to the kids, either as they walked out of the restaurant, or for some families as they came in. The ones that got the balloon as they came in, they spent on average 20% more money than those who got the balloon out of the door. So it's a huge amount, like, and just based on the principle that they got something free for their kids. And honestly, I've been keeping that in mind, and I've been a lot more intentional about creating free stuff, putting stuff out for free, giving away. And I think I decided to give the one-on-one sessions to you guys maybe a little before I heard the interview, but I don't know, for some reason this has been on top of mind for me. And being generous and giving away, I think has a lot. You have to do a lot of that to be successful. And because of the principle of reciprocity, you can expect to get some things back. So, yeah. I saw you're all like writing stuff down. Yeah, Andrew, go for it.
Yeah, that's that seems to be a recurring theme is and this is another piece, Yvette, that I feel that me and you probably both can incorporate into our website. I know we don't want to do content, but creating opportunities to give free stuff like that gets people in as soon as they see something free, whatever it is, even but some simplistic article that, you know, the 5 hacks to your health or whatever, but that seems that this day and age, everybody likes free stuff. And if it resonates with 1 out of the 500 people, then that's all it takes. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I agree. And I think about my own experience as a consumer of stuff and content and how I do that. And that's what I've been paying attention to, you know, these kind of little carrot and sticks, which is like, get a free something, get this. And it does pull you in. And then you start to look around. You think, oh, I'm getting something free here. I like the sound of this person. You're hooked in.
And if you provide value in that free thing, imagine that. Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think we'll be talking a lot more about that into module 6 around all that stuff. So I'm gonna have some resources to share with you guys on all of that. So coming back to, you know, collaborative networks, support networks, working with people. What do you think was missing from the content that maybe you're experimenting with? So networking, building tribes, I hear that, you know, Rachel, Andrew, you do that naturally. Lindsay, you said it's easy for you to connect. I can relate to that. When I used to work in customer service, and it was definitely a huge part of, you know, I was getting lots of tips and clients like me, they would come back to the business, I think, because I was able to create a relationship with them, you know, and, you know, you see this kind of things having an impact. So, yeah, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on maybe what was missing from the content, or what additional ideas do you have around all that? No, you bet.
I really cannot say. I feel that I am in this process of still like gathering information, and I see this process as just a support for my journey. So I think that what I got from the content was what I needed. It has still contributed to find another piece of clarity for what I want to do. So that's how I felt. You know, sometimes as we evolve in our process, we find out what we would like, or what we would have liked to have. So, but at the moment, I feel that the information that you provided was just fine for me. Thank you.
Great. And yeah, actually, there's something I'd like to discuss is what are some communities that you're already part of that maybe you're not leveraging? So Andrew mentioned his LinkedIn, but it could be in real life, right?
well, and there's other, come to think of it now, I'm a part of, it's that catch-22. It's what I say, those, how many networks can you continue to build that are of the same background that you are, which LinkedIn is not for me, but
yeah.
There's platforms all over, but you know, it's how many platforms you're going to have out there and how much time can you contribute to them. Like there's one called Alignable. I don't know if you've heard of that one. I'm on Alignable. I keep getting these messages from Ken Keegan's. He's from Holistic United. So it's a bunch of holistic practitioners, but you know, it's one of these things like do I at least invest some time and give it enough time to see what comes? It's, yeah, it's like anything. You got to put time into one or multiple of those
Absolutely.
and to know, like, you can't just like update my LinkedIn profile once and walk away and expect some collaborative miracles to happen because I have 2,000 connections. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Here's what I've, to me, what I've heard and what I keep in mind is focus on one platform at a time and like really put some effort into it. I'm saying that, but I'm not good at practicing. Like, I've been kind of all over the place, but I also realized that it's not good for my brain to do that. So I need to figure something out. That said, also in some videos that I'm watching from like people who are coaching other people around those topics, I've heard from someone that the conversion rate from your email list to selling products is 4 times higher than any social platform. And I've heard that. And not only that, you know, is for me, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good, for the time that you put in, this is a return you can expect. I like that, those odds. But I also feel like having the email list, so, you know, your newsletter, whatever you want to call that, I think there is a better opportunity to connect with people in a very authentic and genuine way. I'm wondering what you guys think about that. But, you know, I started writing those newsletters for the C4 cohort, kind of, you know, it felt natural because I had connections with all of you guys. I knew you, I've seen you in classes, we've talked privately, we've had one-on-one conversations. Like, I had a connection with people, and then something sparked out of that. And now when I'm writing those newsletters, I have all those people in mind. And it makes it so easy, and it makes it, like, I feel like it's my own voice that comes through those newsletters. And I don't know if you guys can feel that, but it's easier to do it that way. And so I'm starting to feel that in the newsletter, in the email list, is like kind of a secret to authenticity, genuine connection, and maybe an aspect of building a community around what you do. That's my take on that. And then, but the only thing is that in order to grow your newsletter and your email list, you need to put stuff out there. And so where do you put that stuff is the other side of that, right? But Andrew, I mean, 2,000 connections, huge, potentially huge reach.
Daunting at the same time, though. Yeah, it's like, where do you I don't know, where do you begin to create? I'd have to tap into somebody. I think I would really lean into somebody that has experience with growing your LinkedIn network and what that looks like, and trying to, I don't know, I'm not taking on anything now as far as a business coach, but that would probably be something moving forward that I would invest some money on to know where to funnel my time into and make sure that it's in a space where I'm aligning my values of connecting with the right people and not just putting myself out there to try to get every Yahoo under the sun to connect with me.
What does connecting with people mean to you? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, you know, it's and that's a part of why I went off in the woods. And there's a piece of.
So you don't connect with anyone.
Well,
so you connect with yourself.
There's a piece of connecting with the right people and continuing to, you know, do I want to be successful in this? Yes, but what does success mean for me exactly is what I'm trying to answer. Like, is it a monetary thing? Is it a one client a month where I'm able to help them create change? And who are those clients? And this is part of your program. This is what I'm trying to unravel and figure out. What does that look like? And you know, is it about numbers? It is about building this giant practice, or what does that look like for me right now? And I think that's the catch-22 with the LinkedIn. Like, do I open Pandora's box? Do I create these? How do I funnel that where I'm tapping into the right people and tapping into the right organizations? Because and here's the thing, like, I'm sure many of us have dealt with rejection in our life, from relationships to jobs.
It's gonna be part of it. Rejection. Like you
I
gotta, yeah.
I know.
And you can't take it personally either, right?
I'm not doing well with that. I have two organizations. One organization back in San Diego that I did 3 group sessions with that I thought I did really well, and they haven't reached back out. I've sent several follow-up emails, and I'm like, well, that sucks. That was an avenue that I really felt strongly about. And then there's another organization.
Sorry, Andrew, did you ask them why they're not pursuing, or?
They won't email me back. I'm trying to ask them, like, hey, what did I do well? What could I have improved upon
That sucks, man.
Yeah, trying to get feedback. And then there's an organization in the Bay Area that I'm just pounding at this organization to try to work for them, because it's a platform that they work for the underserved. It's coaching for the underserved. So it's like they provide this free service for people who can't afford it. And I'm trying, that's where I'm aligned right now. I think that's, again, that won't pay the bills, but I think that will create not only the confidence for me moving forward and as a coach, because I have one client right now and I keep asking her, I'm like, hey, what am I doing correctly? I keep trying to find out, because I only have one client. I'm like, what am I doing right here? Like, or what am I doing incorrectly, so I can build upon that? Because it's hard to learn from yourself when you have only one client, like, and they're not giving you feedback. Like, how do you know if you're doing anything right or wrong? Like, so.
And I would like to offer you thought that came to me when you talked about, what you're going through. And as much as I think it's great that you have this ability to question yourself. I know you're huge on journaling and introspection. I personally feel like we learn a lot from doing and just putting yourselves out there. And I don't think you'll be able to find your ideal client until you find them in real life. I mean, you can probably have ideas and intellectualize the process as much as possible, but I really feel like it's something that happens in meeting them, in conversations, and I would encourage you to keep experimenting.
Yeah, I agree.
And I also want to say, I'm creating like all of those modules. I realize I don't want you to walk away with the wrong impression that you should have an answer for all of these questions. It's not the case. I think it's more like things we need to keep in mind to understand how we work, how we best work, how we provide value to people. But it's so early for us to have answers to those questions, right?
Yeah, I agree. I've actually done better at that with your material. I've really kind of just taken what works and not felt the pressure of what doesn't, to say, well, why don't I know the answer to that question, or why can't I just say, well, I can't, move on. Like, that's just the way it is right now,
And go back to it later when you feel like you have a better grasp on it. I put in this mentorship program like bits and pieces that I think are, if it's foundations, right? If you do this work, if you figure out who it is, see you, Yvette. Thanks for coming today. Yeah, did you have something to add before you leave?
No, I'm going to wait until the very last minute, one more minute until you finish.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I see this like different modules as like a foundation, and now you're gonna have to like populate these different areas with experience, with like real-time feedback on what you get energized from, what you find like, this is not for me, that doesn't feed me, you said earlier. Like, keep track of that, because that tells you, that gives you an idea of what are the directions you should take. And I personally believe that it's like you're the water and water doesn't go where if there's no slope, the water won't flow, right? So you're the water, and what you're doing with your coaching is that. And sometimes the water is going to stop. Sometimes the water is going to flow. Sometimes, there's going to be a big, I don't know where I'm going with this metaphor, but you guys get the idea.
That's a Bruce Lee. Have you heard the Bruce Lee metaphor? The be like water.
Be like water. Yeah, exactly. So
take the shape of the things that you are. Like when you're a glass of water, you're a glass of water. When you're a bottle, you're a bottle. Take the shape of whatever.
Yeah, and really, I think keep track of or just not keep track, but listen to your inner voice. Like I think we know what we are good at, what we need, what we want, just based on, is it easy or do you have to force it? If you do have to send 10 emails to get an answer, wow, that's too much effort and too much energy, and it's not worth it. So put it where you get some results, where you guys make a little bit.
Also, I just want to sort of say a notion that this coach from last night said. He said it's not rejection, it's selection. We frame it in that way.
Totally.
I thought,
absolutely.
I love that. That's brilliant.
Yeah. See you, Yvette. Thanks for coming today.
My pleasure. I love being here. Thank you.
We love you being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Take care of
Bye.
Bye.
Well, I see we only have 2 minutes left to recall. I should have done some takeaways with Yvette before she left, but what are your guys' takeaway?
Yeah, just excited about connecting with people, I think, when I get to that stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like just actually thinking about how things are changing in the UK. The COVID rules are relaxing.
Yeah.
Monday, all relaxed completely. And I'm thinking about connection as a whole, and just, this is getting me into that space. So yeah, I think it's just picking the phone up, seeing people face to face. That's what it's about for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about you, Andrew? What did you take away?
What you just said towards the tail end, just trusting that inner voice. It's really hard hearing that inner voice, though, when there's pressure to create this professional success.
Yeah. I hear you. It's true that in the ADAPT program, we kind of steered in a certain direction. So yeah, I hear you.
I also wanted to comment, your hair looks fantastic today.
Thank you. I put some effort into this lately.
It looks good. It looks good.
It looks great. It made me want to get my wand out and do mine, because I never do mine.
Andrew, your observation ability is incredible.